Welcome, everybody, to episode 11 of the RGW Podcast, the Regular Guys Wrestling Podcast. We are back. We are ready to go. It is Saturday, April the 22nd here on a beautiful snowy day.
It's not very beautiful, James.
It's to be honest, it's kind of cool. It's like the biggest snowflakes I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's almost May and there's snow outside.
My wife actually said it kind of looks like one of those giant foam parties.
It does. It is that fluffy.
Yeah.
It's not melting immediately either. So.
No, it's probably going to be around. My son was supposed to have a soccer practice today outside, and they're like, due to Mother Nature, we are not going to have a soccer practice.
That would have been an interesting one.
Could have been all right, yeah. So, but yeah, episode 11. I'm excited. How are you, Eric?
I'm doing well. We've got lots of things to discuss today, more or less on the rumor side of things.
Yeah, lots of rumors. But I'm a little surprised at how much stuff is going around wrestling related right now.
There's just so much to talk about. Like we discussed in the past that it was more or less related to Wrestlemania. Wrestlemania is long and gone, and there's still tons of news out there. Yep. Lots of things changing in the wrestling world. It's exciting times, man.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to discussing these here with you, my friend.
Yeah.
So, why don't we get right into it?
Will do. I'll kick us off. So, rumor number one, guys. As of now, there is no plan for JBL to face any kind of punishment over the Mauro Ranallo situation or any reports coming out about it that's alleged antics within WWE. Ranallo, for his part, is not expected to return to WWE before his contract runs out in a few months. And the Observer is reporting that WWE is trying to come to a settlement with Ranallo that would preclude him from talking publicly about his issues within the WWE regarding JBL. That's basically led to his exit. The only effect of the recent bad press on JBL is that he's expected essentially to play a straight babyface commentator on television going forward, at least until these stories start to die off. So I'd heard that Ranallo is actually already starting to commentate for some mixed martial arts and other pro wrestling organizations out there.
Yeah, I think he did one. I don't know the name of it. I can't remember. But last weekend, I think he commentated for one.
Yeah, I think they were discussing it on Callisto and Storm's
I think they
podcast.
mentioned it. Yeah.
So this sucks. It really does, because it's, everyone's behind Ranallo 100% on this one. And JBL, apparently there's well over 100 wrestlers that have reported to Dave Meltzer that they have been bullied in some way by JBL in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard for years, actually, just by reading various reports from various websites and listening to different interviews and those sorts of things, that JBL has been known. Like, it's not a one-off, if this is truly what's been happening with Mauro. It's not something that's out of character. It's him being a bully, him kind of hazing, him, taking liberties in the ring in certain situations. I recall hearing about some liberties he took with the Blue Meanie at the ECW One Night Stand shows years and years ago.
Public Enemy,
yep, I remember that too. So, anyways, all that said, it's not out of character. But yeah, you've been hearing about this for years, that JBL's kind of been a bully, and I'm really surprised that nothing's really been done about it.
We actually, my wife and I watched the Welcome to Dudleyville documentary last night.
Oh, yeah.
And they talked about when they first came into the WWE, and they had to do something with the APA. And the APA were stiff when it came to the backstage segment between the two groups. But after they were done rolling, the Bubba Ray and Devon, they stood up and said, "Good job, guys. Thanks." And they earned their respect that way. But I guess the APA were essentially expecting them to complain, and they didn't, so everything went smooth there. But you can really tell that they were kind of testing the waters with every single wrestler, every single group, the APA. I don't know, it's kind of like walking on eggshells, right?
Right.
Especially around JBL. I'm not sure what Ron Simmons truly was. Maybe he was more or less was following JBL and in regards to his bully tactics. But yeah, like I said, regarding like Public Enemy absolutely destroying them because they refused to do the job 10 minutes prior to the match, and the Blue Meanie and several other wrestlers, and now Mauro Ranallo. I don't know, it's not cool. In any other company, JBL would have been let go for this. This is pretty serious stuff, not just making him become a baby face on mic.
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense to me either, because Ranallo, Mauro has been very vocal on Twitter and interviews regarding his mental illness, regarding his him being bipolar, regarding his past issues with depression, or even current issues with depression. You know, I don't think depression is one of those things where it, you know, you're depressed and you've been diagnosed with this and it just automatically goes away. I think it's just one of these things that that you know you deal with you know, on a regular basis, and you put one foot in front of the other, and you do the best you can, but it's something that kind of rears its ugly head.
Yep.
So
good on him though for talking about it.
Absolutely, and I mean more and more people are talking about it.
Oh yeah.
And I mean things are only going to get better, I think, as more and more people talk about it.
Oh, for sure.
There are less and less tragedies going to be happening, hopefully, with all of this. Anyways, all that said, it's surprising that with all of this knowledge of Mauro having these issues, that JBL is essentially just getting away with it.
Yeah, agreed. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because he's been with the company forever. Yeah. I don't know. But just not acceptable. As much as I liked the APA, this is just inappropriate, and he should have been let go. Look at Hogan got let go for, I'd say, maybe something not as bad as this. Like, who knows? Like,
yeah, like
Hogan was he said a racist slur. That's pretty bad. But JBL straight up all these years straight up bullied everyone.
Yeah.
You know, making fun of someone for being bipolar, that's not cool either.
Yeah, and the thing about Hulk Hogan too, like, unfortunately it was videotaped, so I mean the proof was there, right?
Yeah, you know, Hogan's defense is that I am not, and maybe he's right, we don't know. Hogan says he's not racist. He says he grew up around like African Americans and whatnot his whole life in the wrestling business, and he said he got too comfortable saying that word. So that's what he said. You can't say it if you're a white guy. You can't say that, and I think he was too comfortable saying it, and that doesn't go well.
No. Well, to your point there, kind of in regards to him using that word, whether it was kind of in his vocabulary or not, because of his upbringing and what have you, it was recorded.
Yeah.
But there's been many wrestlers, Booker T, for example, that have come actually to the defense of Hulk Hogan and saying he's not a racist guy.
I remember
he's not a racist, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you've got many people coming out saying JBL is a downright bully.
Correct. Agreed. Yes, because I remember hearing that from Booker, that, you know, essentially, he does talk like this. I think maybe that's the reason why Booker said that word to him in a segment.
Maybe, way back in the day,
Yeah, so...
I'm coming for you! Yeah,
exactly. It was funny because it was allowed on both sides, but I bet you that's probably what it was, but who knows? We'll never know.
No, but, and the whole thing about even... okay, fine, we know he's not getting punished, he's still got a job, JBL, but he's going to be now a straight... faced babyface announcer, which is weird.
It's weird,
but now you've got an odd dynamic on Smackdown, because you've got what's his name there, you got Mike Rose, you've got not Mike Rose, it's Tom Phillips, but you've got,
is that the other guy's name? No, Mike Rome,
Mike
Rome,
Mike
I was
Rome,
like, who's Mike Rose?
Yeah, I know.
Mike Rome and Tom Phillips.
Yeah, so you got Tom Phillips, you've got now you've got babyface JBL and Byron Saxton on SmackDown. So just like three straight-laced guys.
Yeah, that's gonna
which
be
is
weird.
a kind of a blah dynamic, if you ask me.
It is.
But
maybe they'll turn Mike Rome / Tom Phillips heel.
Maybe Byron Saxton will go heel.
That would. I'm not sure if that would be good or not. Anyways, We'll go over to our next rumor. I'll let you cover this garbage shoot. Garbage shoot of a storyline.
I am just...
Here we go.
I'm gonna tell you right now, on Raw and on SmackDown, even though I didn't really get a chance to watch much SmackDown, I am just fast forwarding through all of this junk. I am not even a fan of the whole storyline.
They're not going the right direction with this at all.
But
I think
anyhow,
they know it too.
The rumor here: Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton's House of Horrors match for the WWE World Title was set for Payback, according to PW Insider. Another sign that Wyatt's move to Raw was a last-minute decision. WWE doesn't yet know what the House of Horrors match will even look like, as they've surveyed fans on what they wanted to include.
Oh, man.
That's why they haven't made mention of what it's going to be yet. The idea of the match isn't actually to promote the idea of a title change as the selling point, but the House of Horrors stipulation itself. To add to all of this, it's looking more and more like this could end up being a non-title match. What a load of trash.
Yeah, that rumor, the last sentence you said there regarding the non-title, that's just recently been leaked.
Wow.
But can you believe this? Like, what garbage. And I don't know who's more to blame, if a wrestler is even to blame. Obviously the writers are mainly to blame for this.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I said it before. The Bray Wyatt gimmick is just not working out as much as they'd hoped for. I don't think he's going to replace The Undertaker. It's just he doesn't meld with any other wrestler correctly. And that's what's happening here. Like, Orton's had amazing things in the past. He's had some bad stuff too, and this isn't good. This isn't good. They're trying to use his what gimmick are they using of Orton right now? His Viper kind of like demonic legend killer kind of gimmick.
Yeah.
But they're trying to match that with Bray Wyatt's gimmick, and they're not the same.
No,
they're not.
No, it doesn't match. And to be perfectly honest, I cannot, like, since the Wyatt family has come in, and I've come to really like and appreciate Luke Harper. We know that Eric Rowan is unfortunately a bit of a throwaway.
Sure.
Character, but Bray Wyatt, I have never really been a fan of. I know on the online there are people that are absolutely in love with Bray Wyatt, and I think because people sing along with his music and
sure.
and they're I guess I don't know. Do people put up their cell phones, or is that what happens when the lights go out when he comes down?
Right.
Like lanterns or whatever it actually is. I'm not 100% certain how that actually goes, but his gimmick for me just hasn't really meshed with anyone. For me, none of the matches that he's had in the 2+ years that he's been on the main roster have really meshed. And for me, just hasn't put him on the map. You know what I mean?
No, not even his matches with John Cena or The Undertaker at WrestleManias.
I agree.
Have really stood out.
No,
they were kind of like, I have nothing to do. I have no guys to go against. Let's throw him against Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, and that's maybe the problem there too. Is like you said, the creative side of it, like the story writers. I think you maybe need to do a better job of building up these stories and maybe finding something that meshes a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing seems to work. I think about The Undertaker, and it was a different time too, which is maybe part of how The Undertaker was able to progress so well. But he originally started as this quote unquote Undertaker, right? This building coffins and all this kind of thing. And he had Paul Bearer, of course, and the graveyard and what have you. But then his character was really kicked up a notch when he started feuding with Mankind in 1996.
Oh yeah, that was gold, man.
He had some really good feuds over the years,
mm-hmm.
but I think that feud with Mankind, it just rejuvenated his whole gimmick,
mm-hmm.
his whole career. Bray Wyatt so far, it's only been a couple of years, so it's hard to, I guess, maybe really bring him down or put him down too much in that regard. But yeah, it's just. And with our attention spans these days too, it's really hard to say, okay, you know what, I can see this guy in 3 years just tearing it up, because right now I just don't see it.
They're gonna have to tweak his gimmick a little bit. I think.
I agree.
In order to get over. I won't give up on him. Just it's not working out right now.
No, and for me, I've never really been a fan of these nonsensical diatribes of his.
Well, and it's not going to be over, because after Orton, it's probably going to be Finn Balor, and that's going to be a load of trash as well.
Oh yeah, it's because he's on Raw. That's right.
Yeah.
Fun times.
All right, so on to the next rumor. Finn Balor was rumored to have encountered a concussion from the stiff forearm punch from Jinder Mahal on Raw last week. As he was in a match against Curt Hawkins this week on Raw, in my opinion, it does seem questionable. Yet, there's more and more talks about how he does in fact have a concussion. Jinder's elbow was actually what hit him, not his forearm. But if he has a concussion, WWE certainly shouldn't have cleared him to wrestle. Why did he wrestle Curt Hawkins in a pretty quick match?
Unless it was very, very minor. Because I can't see them if he had any kind of symptoms or anything like that. I can't see them letting him in the ring. I actually read that he was actually at a live event over the weekend even.
Okay.
So he, if he did have a concussion, it must have been very, very minor, or the reports were just a little bit exaggerated. Maybe he, his bell was rung a little bit.
Right.
And the thought was that he had a concussion, and lots of times, it's second or third hand information. So he may not have even had one. Who knows? But if he's in the ring, good to see that if he did have one, it wasn't serious.
Yep, exactly.
So that's good. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that. And that's also good for Jinder Mahal.
Sure. it technically is.
All right, next up here, Mojo Rawley and Jinder Mahal are expected to get a continued push on SmackDown Live, which I really wish they would just get rid of the live.
Yeah, so do I.
SDL. Shinsuke Nakamura and especially Baron Corbin, who according to the Observer, the WWE is extremely high on, are also expected to enter the main event picture by the end of the year. And I can totally see that. I can see them grooming Corbin for that for sure. He had a pretty good match against AJ Styles this past week. Yeah. And Jinder Mahal, it seems like with the things that
all of a sudden
the way that things have gone this week. For him have also been seen as a big push.
Funny how Jinder gets. I thought of this. I don't know why I remember them, but he got squashed essentially by Finn in that match we just discussed. He lost pretty quickly, but a few weeks further back, do you remember when he fought Roman Reigns on Raw? He lost in a couple minutes. So all of a sudden he's in the main event picture. It's very weird. We're supposed to forget this stuff, right? But Roman Reigns squashed Jinder Mahal. Yeah. But all of a sudden, he's going to be facing Randy Orton for the belt.
He did have a decent match at, was it Fastlane?
Against Rusev?
No. Remember Rusev and Mahal both got thrown into these impromptu matches.
Oh yeah,
Rusev fought I think Big Show,
Cesaro,
and was squashed. And then
that was not bad. You're right.
Had a pretty decent and lengthy match with Cesaro.
Way better than what the other match was.
Yeah,
with
the Rusev match. But I think really that was almost just to kind of write Rusev off, right, because he was injured. But Mahal I think showed some improvement there.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I think that probably helped. Raise his stock for sure. But yeah, I mean, as we're going to find out a little bit later in the SmackDown Rush, Jinder is definitely getting a push, which I'm okay with. He looks great.
Oh God, he's jacked, man.
And his character, he's grown for sure since he was in WWE.
Yeah, you can tell he's confident in the microphone.
Absolutely, than he was, a few years back when he was released, right? So
yeah, I like seeing some of these kind of underdogs, kind of step foot and kind of make their face known a little bit, from 3-man band or whatever. To this.
Well, so really, of the 3-man band, they're all back in WWE.
Oh, you're right.
Heath Slater, he never really left, but Mahal's back.
And they're all to a degree, looking better than what they ever were. You know, I know Heath Slater is still not. He's still mid-carder at best, but the crowd likes him. They found him funny, and he's in a tag team with Rhino, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think he's never going to be the world champion.
No.
But he can be, a mid-carder. You know, you got to have mid-carders. You got to have a decent mid-card, and he does get some pops.
You'd be surprised. You never say never in WWE, though. Now, we would have never thought Jinder Mahal would even get a shot at the belt. So
that's true. That's true.
Who knows?
So of these 4 guys, though, in this particular rumor, you got Jinder Mahal, who I enjoy.
Right.
Shinsuke Nakamura, who I'm a big fan of. Baron Corbin, who is one of our favorites.
One of our favorites.
And then...
Hey, you're missing someone there.
What's that?
You're missing the last guy.
No, I'm not.
Your ultimate favorite.
Mojo Rawley.
Mojo Rawley, your pick to win the Royal Rumble. Or sorry, the Battle Royal. Yes, Mojo Rawley.
Man.
Hopefully he doesn't have a championship belt around his waist anytime soon.
Well, you know what? You never... He could have the U.S. title wrestler. At one point.
Every time we see him fight, he's hurting people.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, like he'll probably stay in the low to mid card, which is not necessarily a bad place to be. There's a place for everyone.
There is. There technically is. So yeah, next up, speaking of Jinder, so unsurprisingly, Jinder Mahal's push appears to coincide with WWE's expansion plans for India. Actually, I was wondering this myself a little while ago. They launched WWE Shop there earlier this week and announced the hiring of a new executive to run all initiatives and operations in the country. According to Sportskeeda, the Bollywood Boys, who were renamed the Singh Brothers on Smackdown, will be affiliated with Mahal full-time going forward.
So a little mini stable.
Yeah. It could work. You know, they've tried this in the past with others and, you know, maybe bad timing and whatnot with Muhammad Hassan and et cetera, et cetera. Muhammad Hassan was Italian to add, so that's kind of ridiculous on its own. Don't know if you knew that or not.
I did know that, actually. He's Canadian, actually.
I forgot about that.
He's Canadian with an Italian background.
So at least Jinder Mahal is actually Indian. So.
Yeah, he actually is Indian.
Yeah, so that helps a little.
Indian American, and then the Bollywood Boys, which I really like that name actually, but I can see. What, you don't like the Z on the end of boys?
I don't like the term Bollywood Boys.
Oh, okay.
I went to a pavilion actually last year with my wife, and we really enjoyed it. It was in East Indian Pavilion, and there was a lot of Bollywood stuff there, and it was super fun. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to see that coinciding with wrestling. Come on, it's too fun. It's too bubble gum.
You're not supposed to have fun in wrestling.
You're supposed to be straight edge.
So, but yeah, that's a cool little mini stable. And I mean, if I don't know a whole lot about the Singh brothers, as we'll call them going forward.
No.
But hopefully, you know, if they've got some personality and they're able to really put on some good matches, awesome.
Right.
I like it.
For sure.
Cool. Here's one about the New Day. Oh, our favorite. The New Day may not debut on SmackDown until Kofi Kingston is ready to return from injury. And that just makes sense to me. It
makes sense. Otherwise, it waters them down, and you're not getting the full New Day experience.
Exactly. And in order to hawk their ice cream, I mean, you got to have 3 guys, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
Next up, James. Callisto may be moving to the cruiserweight division to help give 205 Live a boost. I second this. Throw Callisto in the cruiserweights. I'm sorry, he's too little for the other guys, and it's just not mixing. Like his storyline with Baron Corbin was lame in my mind. He would do excellent on 205 Live. He's fast, he's little. That's where he belongs. You know, there's other guys that are larger than him on 205 Live. Just he belongs there, and you know what? If you want to throw the belt on him in the future, go ahead. Just he seems to suit that division a little bit better than Raw or SmackDown Live.
No, I totally agree. And his style fits in 205 Live.
Yeah.
You know, that luchador style. In the Cruiserweight Classic, they had another luchador. I can't remember his name off the top of my head now. But he fit phenomenally in that tournament.
And Callisto's pretty good on the mic, if I can remember. Like
he's decent.
His English is very good.
It is very good. Yeah. Yep. So I think he'd be a fine fit.
Sure.
Getting back to his size. I saw a picture on Twitter. I can't remember who posted it, but anyways, it was him on the beach. You didn't see his face because you just saw his back, and Sasha Banks. She was wearing like a bikini top or whatever, and I don't know if it was necessarily because maybe Sasha Banks is so small.
She's extremely tiny.
She's extremely tiny, but oh my gosh, Callisto is flexing his back. A beast, man.
Yeah,
an absolute beast.
I can agree, he probably is. But remember, Sasha Banks is one of the smallest women wrestlers WWE has had in a long time. And that's what I'm saying. I'm small.
Although Alexa Bliss is pretty darn tiny as well.
Yes,
but I will
say,
but
she's got more curves.
And I will say that like Sasha Banks, like you can just see like her waist is just like puny. But Alexa Bliss is not like that.
No.
Even though she's short, she's only 5 feet of fury.
5 feet of fury.
She's
makes her sound so cute. Like she's just like this little cartoon character coming into wrestling. I'm gonna beat you guys up. Like those, what's that cartoon there with the 3 girls there that they're like
the Powerpuff Girls.
The Powerpuff Girls. Yeah. She kind of reminds me of that too. A mix of that and Harley Quinn.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So, but yeah, that you're right. That probably is part of it. And that's kind of why I prefaced that with the fact that Sasha Banks is so small. But anyways, he looked huge. But regardless, he's under 200 pounds.
Even Rey Mysterio, though, like he always was small, right? But yeah, he's pretty jacked, especially in his prime. So
I mean, the fact that he's only like Rey Mysterio, I think was pushing 5'6".
Is he smaller than Callisto?
I think he's a little smaller. Than Callisto, yeah.
Okay.
But Callisto, I think, is still only hovering around the 200-pound mark. He's still not very big. But I mean, with that height, you're not going to be 250, 260 pounds. It's just not going to happen. Your frame is just not going to support that.
Agreed.
So,
and he moves like a cruiserweight, right?
He does, yeah. So I think that's a great fit. Okay, next up here, Kurt Angle is saying he expects to take a physical for WWE by the end of this year. So, don't expect him to be in the ring for the company until 2018. So...
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And I think it makes sense to, I think he really needs to settle into being the general manager.
Oh yeah, don't rush things.
Exactly, before you get him into the ring and having a big feud or something. So yeah, his role right now, I think is just fine for the foreseeable future.
Sure. Okay, next one, guys. The finisher Seth Rollins is trying out will likely make its on-screen debut at Payback when he faces Samoa Joe.
I didn't actually even know he was trying out different finishers. Makes sense, though, because the Triple H thing's done.
Yeah, unless Triple H were to just disappear off the face of this planet, I don't think the pedigree is something he want to continue to use.
Totally agree.
Maybe just maybe go back to the curb stomp.
I mean, you don't have to call it that. You could call it something else.
Crowd would pop,
and it's done. I mean, it's not an unsafe move.
It's
like
not.
Any move.
Vince says it is, though.
Any move can be considered unsafe.
Oh, but apparently power bombing people's backs into the edge of the ring or into turnbuckles is safe.
Completely fine.
But not something where I don't know. His move was nothing compared to what we just discussed there.
Yeah, so no, I really don't see what the issue is. So yeah, I'm interested to see what kind of finisher this might be.
Sure.
Okay, according to the Wrestling Observer, it's possible WWE holds off on having Roman Reigns wrestle at Payback. If Reigns does end up wrestling, expect his match with Braun Strowman at Payback to get an added stipulation next week, so Strowman can keep his momentum into a Brock Lesnar program, which is the rumor right now, and Roman can lose without taking a pin. It's rumored that we could be looking at wait for it, an ambulance match.
Oh, Kane and Shane McMahon's ears have just perked up.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that one was a good one.
That was actually pretty decent.
That one was a good one.
But
as gimmicky of a match.
Yeah, but I guess really, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of that sort of a gimmick, but storyline-wise, completely fits.
It could be fun.
That
backstage segment was fun.
Yeah.
Kane and Shane were fun. It's really lame and gimmicky, but if they beat the tar out of each other, if they actually allow us to be interested in something Roman Reigns related, right. So be it.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I'm cool with that. I like it if that actually happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right, Brock Lesnar will be working more pay-per-view shows this year, especially if WWE decides to keep him champion until WrestleMania 34. Braun Strowman will be the one to challenge Brock for the Universal title at some point in the next few months, likely before SummerSlam.
I think, if anything, they should make that a big match at SummerSlam. Build that up for SummerSlam, because that's typically looked at as number 2, even though in recent years it hasn't really lived up to being like the number 2 pay-per-view. It's still kind of looked at as number 2. So I think having a big match like that would be awesome.
It's funny, eh? Like, I've always seen the Rumble as number 2, but the way they advertised SummerSlam,
Right.
You'd swear that was number 2.
That's where I'm getting at, yeah.
Like, I don't know. And in my mind, Survivor Series is just dead in the water when it comes to being the top.
These days,
the 4.
absolutely.
It used to be.
Yeah.
But now they've got to redeem themselves big time. They call that one a number 4.
I agree. Yeah.
Although that's the oldest of all of them, right? Isn't that older than Mania, or is it second?
Oh no,
oldest?
Mania is number 1,
Okay,
and
then
then Survivor Series,
Yeah.
because that debuted, I believe, in '87.
Okay.
So this will actually be like 30 years of Survivor Series.
Wow.
Pretty
Close to Mania though.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and then
40.
SummerSlam. No, and then
The
Rumble,
Rumble.
I guess.
The Rumble's pretty new compared to the
Yeah.
Rumble is 90, 89. Am I off on that? 87.
I don't actually remember the first Royal Rumble. I know SummerSlam. I believe the very first SummerSlam was in '88.
92 is the one with Flair winning,
That's right.
and that was like the third or fourth one.
Yeah, because Hulk Hogan won twice in a row.
I think that was the third one. So 89. 89 is ringing a bell. I think 89 was the first in Ontario,
It could be
in Hamilton.
We'd have to look it up, but something tells me that the first winner of the Royal Rumble
Mm-hmm.
was, or maybe I'm thinking.
Well, it was
King of the
Hacksaw,
Ring.
right?
That's right. Yeah.
Hacksaw
Or was that
Jim
King
Duggan.
of the Ring?
Hacksaw Jim Duggan was the first Royal Rumble winner.
Yeah. So that must be '89. Must be '89, and then 1990 and '91 was won by Hulk Hogan.
It's actually 1988.
'88. Okay.
88. So we're close.
So '88 and then '89, or maybe '89, '90 was won by Hogan. Anyways.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Okay, here we go with one from Dave Meltzer. A lot of these come from Dave Meltzer.
They do.
He's revealed via the Figure 4 Weekly Online that Bill Goldberg trusted Brock Lesnar to look out for his best interests heading into WrestleMania 33, and that the Beast was actually behind Goldberg's dominating performances on television before the April 2nd event. And that is very interesting.
Well, Brock and Goldberg are friends outside of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So I could certainly understand how Brock would want Goldberg to look strong so that when it comes to Brock finally facing off against Goldberg in the show of shows and he beats him, it makes Brock, in the end, look to be the strongest.
And that totally makes sense overall because Goldberg, I mean, they would have known that Goldberg was done after WrestleMania, right? So I'm sure that he was okay with that, and especially with them being buds. Yeah, so, and, yeah, cool.
Right on. Jim Ross will work about 40 dates for WWE throughout the year, though it's still unclear what those dates will be. It's expected he'll commentate some pay-per-view shows throughout. So I'm giving a thumbs up on this. Good old JR. He's
love
awesome.
JR.
Best of my favorite of all time commentator. It's probably yours as well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that.
I'm a big fan of that decision. I think they'll keep him for like the big matches, like maybe at SummerSlam. If
That makes
they have,
it special, though.
It totally
Bring
makes
JR
it,
only for the good stuff.
Absolutely. So main event, say at SummerSlam, Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title.
They do that with Callisto in NJPW.
Yeah, they
I
bring
found
them
that
for the
out.
big events,
He was saying, I didn't know that, but yeah, Don was saying on his podcast that he only flies out to Japan for the big shows and all of the house shows and smaller ones. He doesn't go out there.
Yeah.
So
Well, they wouldn't need him on a house show, but
No.
yeah, for the smaller events.
he had to live out there for that.
Yeah. So he only does like the big shows. Like he did the
Yeah, what would you need an announcer for a house show?
Yeah, you don't need an announcer for a house show. But yeah, just for their television show, he doesn't do those ones.
what I meant, yeah.
He just does like those big ones. I think there's like the Shuriken Hall show. That was a giant one.
Okay.
They were talking about this headbutt this week.
Oh, yes. Ooh.
At the show in, I guess last week or the week before. It was like one of their big shows that they did.
Yeah.
And it was Okada who's the
versus Suzuki.
IWGP champion versus.
Was it Suzuki? No.
I think it was a different guy. I can't think of his name at the
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
But in any case, Okada does this giant headbutt,
Yeah.
and they did it like skull on skull.
Ugh.
And they see it in the ring. It seemed fine, but then he like collapsed
Right outside the curtain.
outside the curtain.
Yeah, he played it up.
Yeah, and they played it up that way. So, but they were saying on Storm and Cyrus's podcast there that at this moment it's not sure that he's even going to wrestle again.
It's so stupid.
So it's like those types of risks, those types of high impact moves, they don't need to be done.
Agreed.
I just don't see why they are. But anyhow, yeah, back to Jim Ross, having him do, the big money matches, even just like the title matches, for the Universal and the WWE Championship, have him do those matches, like that it just brings a whole new level of. What's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, like you said, just makes them feel that much more special.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. 15 here. Shelton Benjamin has confirmed he's not under contract with WWE as his shoulder injury was discovered as part of the signing process. So, I didn't think he was under contract, actually.
Yeah. I just read a rumor actually this morning that WWE may not be bringing Shelton Benjamin back after all. So he's been taking dates with independent promotions now that he's healthy enough to wrestle again. So I guess we might not be seeing him after all. I'm bummed about this. I love Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah, that's actually too bad. I mean, I was looking forward to seeing him. I haven't seen him wrestle in a long time, but he's still in great shape from what I know. And he's a great wrestler.
Things could change. Yeah,
You never
maybe
know.
there was just some sort of a small disagreement on a contract, and look at the Hardys, right? They went from Impact to Ring of Honor for a blink of an eye, and then WWE. Clearly, this could happen as well. So
could happen anytime.
For sure.
I hope it still works out for him and he gets back into WWE because I think like we'd be happy.
Oh yeah.
He's still got a lot of fans out there that would be really happy to see him in a WWE ring again. So
got to see him in a big ladders match.
Oh yeah.
That guy's the king of
King
of ladder
spots,
matches.
Totally.
The real Mr. WrestleMania, as I've always called him. I always have.
A great match with Shawn Michaels that one time.
I loved that match.
Yeah.
It was great. Alberto El Patron has officially signed with Impact Wrestling. Everyone's like, what? Yeah, of course he has. No. After working on a gentleman's agreement for the last taping, according to PW Insider. So he was never actually signed with Impact for quite some time, and now it's actually official. I don't know what happened there, but...
So, for me, they gave him...
the belt?
A world title win?
Yeah. And he could have just run out on them on
a gentleman's agreement.
Ooh.
Who is running that place?
I would have never. It's ridiculous.
It doesn't make any sense. I
just actually listened
baffled.
to an older Storm and Cyrus podcast just recently. I think that's the Raven one.
Okay.
And I haven't heard Raven talk yet. But they were discussing like the first episode of Impact and how terrible Josh Matthews was on the commentator desk with the other two guys, whoever they were.
Yeah,
apparently
Barash and maybe some other guy. Yeah.
It was so bad that Lance said he wasn't even focusing on the women's match, where one of them was actually a trainee of his and a friend of his, because Josh Matthews and the other two were so terrible and bickering amongst each other throughout the match, taking attention away from the match. Like, there you go. There's the answer to who's running the show. I don't know. I don't know where they're going with all this.
Yeah, well, with that, and now Josh Matthews, from what I understand, is kind of out of the announcer's desk. I don't know if that's just storyline or if that's going to be, the permanent case going forward.
Yeah, I'd read that. Hard
to say, but in any case, yeah, like it was just a weird storyline. Like, and I didn't watch it because I didn't watch Impact, but yeah. So they had this storyline where they were like bickering with one another through the whole match, and it sounded like it was so distracting to all the other
because he was full out heel apparently.
Yeah, he was going full out heel, which makes no
episode 1. You got to build
the first
that
one.
up.
Yeah, it was like the first one after like the rebranding, right? That was the one with Alberto coming down and beating Lashley and all that sort of thing. And they were, you're trying to rebrand and rebuild. So to do something that's detrimental to the very product that you're trying to promote doesn't make any sense at all.
If he's trying to be Michael Cole, when Michael Cole turned heel, so be it. And whether you love it or hate it that when Michael Cole did that, at least Michael Cole built it up episode after episode. You don't just go straight heel, upset at the world, yelling at each other. Like, that's not how you do it.
Because you weren't a heel commentator last week.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden you're full on.
Yeah. And then going back to, so that says a lot about the company, and you have a gentleman's contract with Alberto, and just trust that everything will work out. Here's the belt, but you're not officially with our company yet.
Because he could technically walk out whenever he wants.
Sure.
And there could, I guess there could be lawsuits involved in that, where it's like, hey, you agreed, but there's been no pen to paper.
Gentleman's contract is just a handshake and a walk.
Yeah, like that just blows my mind that in this day and age, and even the history of pro wrestling with your Jeff Jarrett's and with your Ultimate Warriors and all these different stories with your Lex Lugers, to just agree to something like that with your Alundra Blazes, your Medusas, and that sort of thing, to just let that go. There was a lot of trust there. Thankfully it worked out.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of trust.
Absolutely, there was.
For something like that. Wow. Okay. So the Observer notes that all talks of WWE possibly buying Ring of Honor are now dead, but there are still talks related to licensing old content for use on the network. That I can see, because, for example, Cesaro made a huge name for himself in Ring of Honor. And so there'd be tons of footage there.
Okay. There's Punk stuff, but they're not affiliated.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much about Punk stuff.
No, not right now.
But there's AJ Styles stuff. There's Samoa Joe's stuff. Seth Rollins spent some time in Ring of Honor when he was going by Tyler Black. That was before he came to FCW and NXT, that sort of thing. So, and then I'm sure there are some others as well.
Sure.
So yeah, like if they were able to somehow get some of that content.
Well, especially with AJ and stuff, because if they don't have anything from Impact for all of his years, they want something, right, to show where he's been.
Yeah. So. Well, maybe they could. I wonder if they could have some kind of agreement with PCW.
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 We may have a connection for that.
That's a local wrestling here in Winnipeg.
In Winnipeg.
Yeah.
At the local nightclubs. Samoa Joe. I saw Samoa Joe at PCW.
Yeah, me too.
You did? Yeah, that's right. I think we were at different shows, though. Because he came twice, I think.
I think we were. I swear that I saw Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles, which is the reason Tyler and I went to go see the show.
Well, you just got to ask our buddy. We have a buddy. He's actually a wrestler, and he wrestled for PCW. In fact, I think he still does. So
you know what? We're gonna have to get him on the show.
We will.
It's gonna have to happen. Maybe before episode 20.
We won't plug his name yet, though. He's a mystery. He's a mystery individual.
He's a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
But stay tuned for future episodes for that, guys. Cool. Next up. Fans in attendance report Ember Moon may have suffered an injury at the April 19th NXT taping when she was knocked from the top rope and landed shoulder first on the guardrail. She didn't participate in any further in the match she was in, and according to some fans in the crowd, she apparently could be seen crying, walking out with the trainers to the back. So that sucks. That would hurt a lot if you actually landed from a particular height onto the guardrail with your arm. Might want to work on not crying in front of the fans and holding back those tears a bit, but that sucks for Ember Moon. I don't know. I just we don't cover NXT rumors enough. I wanted to throw that one in there for our fans, but hopefully she's not out too long with that.
You know what's to be funny? I know our buddy Rick has high regard for Ember Moon.
Yeah, he likes her finisher especially.
And I know you like Ember Moon. That's cool.
Well,
I don't think I could pick her out of a lineup. I don't even know who she is.
I'll be honest with you.
That's how much
I've only
NXT
seen
been
one
watching
Ember Moon
lately.
match.
Oh yeah. Oh.
So how much I like her, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
I think her finisher is wicked.
What is it exactly? I haven't seen it. I'll have to look it up.
She essentially, I believe, jumps from the top turnbuckle, flips over her opponent, and gives them the stunner. You could actually envision that. Think of it. The opponent's facing away from you. Mm-hmm. You're on the top turnbuckle. You jump over your opponent, flipping in the air, and you hook their neck into a diamond cutter / stone cold stunner.
Do you remember Buff Bagwell's move? He was called the Buff Blockbuster.
No, I don't.
Oh, it was essentially that, but he did a neck breaker.
Okay.
He would stand on the second rope, and then he'd jump over the guy, and then hit him and then grab his head, and hit him with a neck breaker.
Oh, okay.
So it sounds very similar to that, and if that is what I'm envisioning, it sounds pretty darn cool.
Yeah. Yeah, the match I had seen Ember Moon in was the big the big takeover around WrestleMania.
Oh, so it was against Asuka?
Yes.
Okay.
It was pretty good. She lost to Asuka, so it's pretty good. I expected a little bit more, to be honest with you, out of Ember Moon in that match, but yeah. Well, hopefully she heals up because that sounds legitimately painful.
That does sound painful. So hopefully she doesn't miss much time and she's able to progress. Because that sounds like a lot of people are high on her and she could be getting the big push.
You got it.
Yep. So, okay. So next up here, super quick, Simon Gotch, who was released by the WWE a couple of weeks ago, is actually going to be going by Simon Grimm going forward. Kind of an old school name, Grimm, because there's the brothers Grimm who actually wrote a whole bunch of fairy tales back in the day, like Hansel and Gretel and a few others of those types of things.
That's some grim news. Regarding his past partner singing in the middle of a ring.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, real quick story. I was reading this week an interview with Simon Gotch, or Simon Grimm now, where he was talking about the WrestleMania weekend, where apparently got a whole bunch of heat. Because of he said a huge scene that he caused. Apparently what happened, and this is kind of silly on his part, but also kind of funny. So I guess he sat down in catering, and there was this really flimsy chair that he sat on, and the chair actually broke, and he fell flat on his back, and like knocked over a table as he fell or something. But he decided to play it up. So there was this somebody near him, I can't remember who it was, a stagehand or somebody from backstage was near him. He decided to play it up and was yelling at the guy to come and pin him because he was like flat on his back.
That is weird, man.
So, kind of funny, but kind of odd at the same time.
What a weird guy.
But yeah, so he's gonna be. He's already got some independent dates, I think, that he's gonna be on. So
okay,
yeah,
good job, Mr. Weirdo.
Simon, Mr. Weirdo Grimm.
No kidding.
Okay, and then next year, the Observer, getting away from Simon Grimm, notes that there are no plans for Paige within WWE, even when she's recovered from neck surgery. Because it sounds like she's pretty much, it sounds like she'll probably be ready within the next couple of months. But yeah, everything that we've heard, she's not coming back.
Her return would be awkward.
It'd be
really
strange.
Awkward. Between the Alberto thing and the other thing online, it's just weird. She needs to disappear for a while.
Yeah.
She might even just get booed by it. I don't know. I don't know how the fans would even take her in.
Yeah, it's a really odd dynamic, and it's kind of a shame the way this all kind of played out.
Sure,
because they're doing this whole story and movie, not WWE, but it's with WWE's cooperation, where The Rock and his production company is doing this movie on Paige's family. So it's a real shame that everything's kind of transpired the way it is, because it might have been kind of interesting, but now you're kind of losing interest, right? Because Paige is done. She's essentially done with WWE.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if they keep her. If they do keep her, it's because of that. It's because of this movie.
Yeah, but no, I really don't see her coming back.
Agreed. All right, so a big reason WWE wants to use the broken gimmick for the Hardys is because they think they can move a lot of merchandise with it. You damn rights are going to move a lot of merchandise with it. That Matt Hardy broken gimmick is gold. If they can somehow get their hands on that thing, a lot of people are going to have broken shirts. I could see it.
Well, I mean, the Hardy Boys, I'm sure, since they've come back, they're already selling merch. I mean, they've got a new shirt already.
Oh, they do, eh?
Yeah,
Wow.
they wore it on Raw this week.
Nice.
And I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of merch coming through because they're super popular. They're still on top of their game, and just if they can get their hands on that broken gimmick, like you said, yeah, I can see them being close to the top when it comes to merchandise sales. Absolutely. Yep. And then last one here we've got, according to Sportskeeda, WWE wants to bring Steve Austin's Stone Cold podcast back to the network, and they want his first guest to be The Undertaker.
Getting giddy.
Man.
That would be so good.
Part of me really wishes that the interview with The Undertaker would be like a non-WWE sanctioned one, like a non-network one.
Sure.
It doesn't need to be like the Unleashed one.
Sure.
You know, we don't need Steve Austin and The Undertaker throwing F-bombs back and
No,
forth.
we
all
don't
the
need
time.
that.
No, but I think there would be probably more maybe that they can talk about.
Absolutely.
If it wasn't. But in any case,
Either way,
I'm excited.
That would be so good. So good. Heck, it'd be so good that we'd almost just have a topic about it. A topic of discussion.
A topic of discussion.
Oh, that segues us
That's
into
a great segue.
Our topics of discussion. So, guys, we only have one topic of discussion today to discuss, and that's Mr. Roman Reigns, his future in the WWE. So, I had a lot of things running through my mind just recently regarding Roman, you know, especially with that backstage brawl he had with Strowman with the ambulance and whatnot. And I had some ideas, and I had some questions for you, James, and our audience, what they think. And I'm just going to actually throw out the questions, and let's see what you think. So, first question for you, James. Will Roman Reigns ever truly become the face of WWE at the rate he's going?
They're not going to stop trying.
Are we sure of that?
Well, it'll be a while. I think they're still going to try to push him the rest of the year.
Do you think they'll succeed? Do you think he
No.
will ever be the John Cena?
I just don't see it. I think like he's getting reactions, right? Like it's not like people are sitting on their hands.
Right.
So he is getting those reactions.
He's getting negative reactions, but he's getting strong negative reactions.
But I don't know. I mean, I guess anything could happen, but I don't see it happening. I think there needs to be, and it's been going on too long, I think, where there needs to kind of be like a glimmer of that natural progression of going from that heel character to that face. But he hasn't truly even become a heel yet. Like, you know, the definition of, or defined as a heel, I should say. Because his antics are kind of the definition of a heel, but he hasn't actually been well defined and described as, you know, that heinous character yet.
Sure.
Whereas I think really I think he would have almost needed to be in that place by now.
I don't think he will be the face of the company.
No,
you can't tell your audience what you're going to have as much as Vince probably thinks, you know, it's not their say. I've heard, you know, many years ago, do you remember the podcast with Stone Cold and him? Remember when Vince was on Stone Cold's podcast a few years back?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, it was on the WWE Network a few days ago, and I watched just a couple minutes of it. That's all I needed. Vince said, if the crowd is not behind a particular wrestler, then that wrestler won't be able to succeed, won't be able to go far. And I was immediately said, you're contradicting what you're doing with Roman Reigns then, because he said the crowd needs to be behind him. Well, where do you stand on Roman Reigns then? Because the crowd is not behind Roman, yet you're shoving him down their throat. So my next question to you then was, will the WWE, hence Vince, give in at any point and just end up giving up on him altogether due to the ongoing fan disapproval? because I know Vince is extremely stubborn. Could you see him just saying, "Oh, it's not working out, Roman. We're gonna have to repackage you. We're gonna have to throw you mid card," which I doubt that'll ever happen. But could you just see them finally saying, "I guess he will never be the face of the company," and just letting someone else go with it? Because it was looking like Seth at one point was gonna be that guy. Not anymore. Not at this rate. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Would they actually be giving up on him
To be the face.
to be a face?
Yeah, to be a face. Not altogether, but to making him the face that they're trying to do. Heck, they're talking about WrestleMania next year.
I mean, I think they have to.
Yeah.
You know, but will they? That's a great question. I don't know if I have the answer to that.
We already know what the next year's WrestleMania main event's going to be.
The rumor is what was Reigns and
Lesnar.
Lesnar again.
It's probably going to happen, and you know Reigns is going to win. So it's like, wow, we know a year in advance what's going to happen at the end of WrestleMania 34.
And I can tell you right now, is that a match? I can't see that being a match anybody actually wants to see.
I don't know.
You've seen it before.
We have, yeah. You know, Seth interrupted it. But
it wasn't great. Yeah.
It was entertaining to a degree because Lesnar was annihilating him. So it made it more realistic, right?
Yeah.
And Reigns did his, laughing as he would get up. And then you and I popped for Seth running down the ring, down the entrance. That was great. But I don't know, man. I don't know if it's going to be tough because Vince is very stubborn. I don't know if he would give up on it trying to make Reigns the face of the company, but we'll only find out with time.
Yep, I agree.
So would it have hurt Roman if he were to have left the franchise show, Raw, and had been traded to SmackDown Live as part of the Superstar shakeup?
For me, I don't think it would have hurt him at all.
No?
No, I don't think so. There would have been some freshness there. I know he still had the Roman feud, but there would have been some freshness there, and I think there would have been some guys that could have pulled a great match out of him.
Okay.
AJ Styles, for example, has gone from, there's an example of a guy who was, people loved him when he first came in, and then he was just a monster heel, great heel.
They did it right.
And now he's the face again.
I wasn't even a huge AJ Styles fan when he came into the WWE. I don't say that a lot. They turned him heel.
Mm-hmm.
I was impressed with how he went about being a heel. He's a good heel.
Mm-hmm.
They did a great job.
Yep.
And he wasn't afraid to be a heel. We all know in TNA/Impact, he was heel numerous times. But he had no problem with being heel if he needed to be. What happens when you're a heel? Everyone started kind of cheering him because he was doing such a great job. And now what's happened? He's face again. And he is stronger than ever. What did they do with Roman? Not that.
Nope.
Nope.
They did the exact opposite. He was getting those boos when they first started, and now he's been doing the heel stuff. Still not defined as a heel, but doing the heel stuff.
Is he doing heel stuff? Against Strowman? Braun Strowman?
No,
the guy that wheeled him off the ramp. And
no, and it actually is. It's crazy, right? Because the week before, and that's the inconsistency is kind of hurting him too there, and that's not really his fault. But he came down, massive boos after he beat the Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
Massive boos, heat. I have never seen so much heat, and he comes and says, "This is my yard now."
Drops the mic.
Obviously a heel tactic, and then the next week, he's out there talking to Michael Cole as the bubblegum babyface again.
I'm starting to wonder if that was a heel tactic because based on actual interviews, like was it Jericho's podcast with Roman?
I had never listened to that one.
Oh, okay. I think Roman is not necessarily seeing himself as an anti-hero. He's seeing himself as a neutral party. Not, I'm not, not the guy, or what's his saying?
Not a good guy, not a bad guy, but the guy.
That's what he's doing. You could boo me, you could cheer me. I'm just going to be neutral. I'm just going to do my job. Not really a good way of going about things, but I think that's what he's doing. Mm-hmm. He's just, okay, you love Undertaker. I get it. I love Undertaker too. Go ahead and boo me. Oh, I'm facing Braun Strowman now. You'll probably cheer me a little bit more now. He's just going one person at a time. Let's do it as we go. Mm-hmm. Kind of weird. That's not classic because you're either a good guy, bad guy. Attitude Era. They introduced some anti-heroes, but not I'm just gonna call them neutral party.
I guess John Cena is kind of a neutral party in a way.
He has
right?
become more, especially now.
Yeah.
You could tell the crowd boos him, kind of gives like an annoyed look to the crowd, and then continues doing what he's doing.
His thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
But he's on the other side, right? Like he's more, even though, people are either cheering or booing him, he's being a face.
He is, but he's going about it, I've noticed, a little bit more jerkingly now. Have you noticed it? He's not so friendly anymore, like with the crowd, etc. Like if they're booing him, he's not going to be as jovial as how The Rock used to bug him for being. He'll just kind of go with it,
right?
Because he knows he's on his way out soon, so he doesn't really need to be the true face anymore. They're trying to make Roman the true face.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's actually quite confusing.
It is confusing, and it's confusing for the fans because you can't just be this middle guy.
Right.
You're the tweener.
Right.
Has there been a successful champion, a successful face of the company, we'll call them, that's been a tweener? Typically, they're one or the other.
Sure.
So, I don't know. It's weird.
So is turning him heel the only true way of allowing the fans to accept him then? I think it is.
I would almost tend to agree, yes.
That's their only option at this rate.
Because, pushing him as a face, like, it's just not working. People want to boo him. People want to see... People are paying money to see somebody else beat up Roman Reigns. It almost doesn't matter who it is.
Well, Roman's cousin, I don't remember who it was, said that his... I think you had even discussed this with me. His family lineage is primarily heel.
Yeah, most of the Samoans traditionally have been heels.
Excluding The Rock.
And I guess Fatu, when he was Rikishi, like he was a face, like when he was the dancing fool. He was a face there. But the Wild Samoans, the Head Shrinkers, Haku,
3 Minute Warning,
the Barbarian. Haku and Barbarian actually aren't really part of that, but 3 Minute Warning,
which is Jamal and Rosie.
Yeah, and then Umaga.
Rest in peace, Rosie.
Yeah,
that's his older brother.
Yeah, that's Roman Reigns' older brother.
Sucks.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was that much older than him. He was 47. Actually.
Yeah, he's a lot older than him.
A lot older, yeah. But yeah, apparently he's got 3 young kids, and that's a shame.
Yeah.
But both of them, Umaga and Rosie, there, both passed away early.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I know Umaga passed away super early.
Yeah.
Like he was only mid-30s.
Wow, man.
Yeah, and he's been gone for quite a few years already.
Yeah, we talked about Umaga actually on our last podcast.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But
I think turning him heel, it's the way to go.
Yeah, but no, you're right. Typically, Samoans, they've always kind of been the heel, and exactly, The Rock has been one of those exceptions. Really,
he was heel for a bit, but just he was primarily face. But maybe Roman would be a good heel. He was heel for a little bit with Shield. You don't really get the full flavor because there's 3 guys, but maybe he'd be good at it.
Well, the 3 of them actually, they were dastardly heels.
Oh yeah,
as a team, right?
Oh yeah.
And then they had that. Then they kind of turned the corner, and they kind of were getting those face pops.
They became tweeners.
They kind of became tweeners, and then they were feuding with Evolution there.
Was it that or the Wyatts first that turned them? The Wyatts.
It probably was the Wyatts.
The Wyatts, I remember, because I was like,
you're right, yeah.
Heel on heel, 3 on 3?
You're right,
That's where it started.
And then they were getting the face pops.
Yep.
And then they were feuding with Evolution.
Then it was a full turn.
And that was a full turn, and they were full-on faces, and the crowd loved them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't really let that flourish. They broke them up.
Did you know Roman in that podcast with Jericho says he feels they were broken up too early?
Yeah.
He says that they should have stayed together as a Shield a little longer. Mm-hmm. They had more to offer. But
I agree with that.
but they needed more superstars. He admitted it. They were short on singles guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they did it quickly. I remember when they split the 3 up.
And isn't that interesting? Who knows where all 3 of those guys would actually be had they let the Shield flourish for, let's say, another 6 months, another year.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Seth was the most successful of the 3 when they split.
Right.
Dean was he was a little awkward at first. I remember he comes down with that white tank top and his jeans and whatnot, and everyone was like, okay, he's just kind of a modified version. Roman Reigns was the same character. So it would have helped Roman. It couldn't have done anything but helped him. It couldn't have done anything but helped him. But I didn't think Seth, out of the three, was going to be the one that flourished the most.
I didn't see him as the standout of the three of them.
I liked actually Seth out of the three because I liked his high flying abilities and I liked his look. Yeah. I did like Roman originally when the Shield was introduced to us. I'm like, who's this guy? Man, he's a beast. But it's all this other stuff we've talked about that got me sour on him. Dean Ambrose, I was not a fan when I first saw that guy. I thought he was creepy, not in a good way. I thought he was weird, erratic, and just seeing what he's like in real life now, not a fan of his.
Well, I thought that actually of the three of them, I thought Ambrose was going to be the standout. I thought he was really good.
I think Tyler, your brother, says the opposite. I think he agrees with me. I think
he's not really an Ambrose fan.
No, and there's rumors now that he is in fact a lazy guy and complacent, based on things I've read online.
Actually, on Raw this week.
Yes, the Miz. Yes, the Miz.
You ripped him good.
Yeah, that great that's where the rumors are being generated because him and Austin's old podcast with Dean, he said the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are all these people calling him lazy and complacent? Well, kind of seems like he is. He doesn't look like he wants to kind of flourish further than what he's become.
Right.
But maybe I'm wrong. Couple more things to talk about regarding Roman, and then we'll move over to the Raw review.
Sounds cool.
So, would the fans then boo or cheer him as a heel? And would they boo or cheer him if he became a face? How do you think they'd react, first of all, if he turned heel?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Right? I think they would boo him at first, but that gives him a chance to develop that character and then turn into that anti-hero, right?
Yes.
That you know and love. You love the anti-hero. But that would give him a chance to actually become that. So I think they would boo him at first. I think they would accept that, yeah, this guy is a jerk. Let's boo him. But I really think that could then potentially give him the opportunity to develop that character in the proper environment and, and having that proper definition
right
would allow him to kind of grow as a heel, which could potentially help him move along, and then people may actually appreciate that.
Okay.
Which could then potentially turn him into a face down the road.
And then they would cheer him possibly.
Correct. I just don't see him being the monster face that I think they want him to be. I just don't see that happening.
Okay. So you don't think that, based on what you just said there, that it wouldn't have necessarily as happy of an ending as when The Rock did it. Went heel, then turned face. If Roman did it even perfectly, he may not be, when he turns face again, it may not be the same situation for him.
I really don't see it happening. No.
Okay.
No, I don't think...
Because it's hard to see the future, but everything's got to line up perfectly for that to occur.
And that's the thing, right? Everything has to line up. And right now, even though there are some really good things going on in wrestling, the stars are not aligning right now.
No.
There isn't that superstar that's really emerging right now. Now, that said, some of these newer guys, like maybe your Baron Corbin, AJ Styles is pretty amazing, but it's pretty hard to discount him when it comes to anything, really.
Sure, agreed.
But like right now, for the most part, the stars are just not in line right now. Like in the 80s with Hulk Hogan, everything aligned.
Right.
And he was just like the monster. And then in the 90s, Shawn Michaels was big, Bret Hart was big, but really, the WWE they were losing money.
Right.
They were kind of a sinking ship. Really, I mean, looking back at it now and hearing people talk about like the dire straits that they were in, like even though you remember Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels being very popular, Undertaker being very popular in the mid '90s, they weren't Hulk Hogan.
No.
Right. And then fast forward a couple of years to Stone Cold Steve Austin, And then you not only Steve Austin, but you had The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
You had two of them who were arguably as big as Hulk Hogan at the exact same time. The storylines that they were connected with were working. They had developed these incredible characters and putting on some great matches. Like, everything was just aligning. Whereas right now, and then even arguably you could almost say with John Cena in 2004 when he was the rapper heel, and he was kind of gaining steam and he was having some pretty decent matches. And he was kind of starting to churn that character into a face. Like, the stars were kind of aligning there as well. But right now, it just doesn't seem like anything is really working. So,
all right. Well, then, lastly, the big question is: if Roman were in fact to turn heel, do you think they'd finally let go of all of his ties he has currently to the Shield gimmick? So this includes his entrance theme, his clothing, and I dare say his look. So a lot of people don't even think of this. Roman has his goatee and his long hair. Why can't Roman shave that hair off? That would be badass. Why can't Roman shave off his hair and his goatee, straight up new look, and turn heel? That is something to think about. The crowd would love that when you are able to take risks.
Well, it's so interesting. Like you've seen in the past, just something as simple as coming down in a suit.
Jericho 08.
Chris Jericho 08. Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
2017.
Shaves his most of his facial hair off.
Most of his facial hair,
Looks
exactly.
more heel to me.
Totally does.
Yep, more pompous.
Samoa Joe came down in the suit, He all of a sudden came out and, he's Triple H's stooge, right?
Sure,
and it worked.
It's the little things.
Yeah, so for him to maybe, keep his hair tied back, if he doesn't want to cut off all his hair.
I think it's, their family traditions. He probably doesn't want to.
Cut his hair, you mean?
Yeah, I think the Samoan...
So just tie it back. Exactly. He doesn't have to shave his head.
Man bun.
Oh, gosh.
He's done that too in interviews.
I know he has,
with his suit.
That just needs to go away. The man bun's out. But
right.
You know what? I think, like we said, about when he was with the Shield, the Shield hanging around for maybe another 6 months to a year or so couldn't have helped him anymore. Or rather, couldn't have done anything but helped him, rather. Changing his look up, changing the music, just little things like that.
The only thing he's changed is he doesn't come through the crowd anymore. He hasn't done that in a while.
He's essentially the same character as he's been for 4 years.
Oh, everything. Right? Even before his spear, he does the thing where he does the hoo-ah!
Yeah, like that. Just it was kind of cool when he was with the Shield when they were doing that triple power bomb, the hoo-ah.
Little Al Pacino there for you.
Hoo-ah! Yeah. Scent of a woman if you're lost out there.
Oh no, we just did it. First Frasier talked about some Power Rangers at one point. Scent of a woman.
Honey Boo Boo.
Wow.
Honey Boo Boo. Oh my goodness.
I know. It's getting better.
Mama June has lost 120 pounds.
That leads us to our second topic. I'm just kidding.
Let's talk about TLC, not the match, the channel.
Terrible.
Is my wife here? She could chime in on this.
Our listeners are down to 0 in a matter of seconds.
That's it. Everyone's unsubscribed. All 8 of them.
All right, guys. Well, that finishes off our topic. That was some good talks, actually.
Yeah, I like that.
We've never we've never really covered Roman that much, and I kind of wanted to discuss it. See where you think he's headed.
Well, our love, our quote unquote love for Roman has been discussed many times.
Oh, we have.
But we've never actually kind of talked about in depth about his character and where he could potentially go. So gives you a lot to think about.
For sure.
Cool.
Okay, guys, it's time for the April 17th, 2017 Raw review. So, one quick note before we begin. Booker T has temporarily joined the announcing team for 6 weeks, as David Otunga is now shooting a new WWE movie called Katrina. I'm happy about this because David Otunga is boring and Booker T is good. So 2 thumbs up on in regards to that.
I like Booker T a lot.
Yeah.
So I liked his contributions when he was on the announced team. So yeah,
he's got character.
Yeah,
unlike Otunga.
Yeah, pretty much exactly.
So we started off with the Braun Strowman and Kurt Angle segment. I'll be honest with you, I missed everything but the last minute of this. Essentially, they just continue to build Strowman with his domination, intimidation, and I guess what Strowman was doing was he was demanding for additional competition. Mm-hmm. So that was that.
That was pretty much it. One thing that was really funny is Kurt Angle said you're going to face Roman Reigns at the appropriately named pay-per-view Payback.
Oh God.
I just thought that was
the way he talks, at the appropriately named.
Yeah, and then Angle basically gave Braun the night off, and that's when Braun actually came and said he's going to go around. He needs competition.
Yeah. Okay. So that led us into a Samoa Joe versus Chris Jericho match with Seth Rollins on commentary. Mm-hmm. So, Jericho was able to unleash some good aerial moves on Joe, including a nice drop kick as Joe was running towards him. Did the classic drop kick. I don't remember what the move's called. Drop kick from the top corner turnbuckle that Jericho's always done, sending Joe to the floor.
I don't think he has a name
for it. No name for that thing?
I don't think so, no. One thing that kind of struck me a little bit with Samoa Joe versus Jericho is Jericho, he went for the walls pretty early in the match. Yeah, and I just couldn't picture Chris Jericho getting Samoa Joe in the walls of Jericho. I just didn't.
No, I agree. So it's kind of predictable, right?
Yeah.
And during the match here, I also noted that Samoa Joe had a nice Randy Orton-esque power slam. Yeah. Not as good as Orton, but it was nice and fairly fluid.
Yeah, it was pretty fluid.
He also did a strange fluid choke slam, as what I called it, as Jericho was running towards him.
Yes.
It was kind of like a choke slam meets a Big Show's slap to the chest in the corner turnbuckle. It was kind of fluid that way. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to explain it. You saw
that's
it,
when Jericho was running towards him, right?
Yeah. So he used his momentum.
It kind of almost reminded me a little bit of like a rock bottom.
Yeah.
A little bit, but you're right. It was kind of like a slap meets a choke slam meets a rock bottom. And yeah, he used his momentum against them. It was pretty cool.
I actually liked it. It was pretty neat.
One thing I thought was kind of interesting. It just reminded me of Haku. Is he was actually doing like some moves to Jericho, like when he was sitting down, like on the shoulder. He kind of had like this nerve pinch that he was doing. He was kind of doing like these chops and stuff to his shoulder while he was down. Just reminded me a lot of like old school Haku. It was kind of cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And basically, Joe ended up beating Jericho with the clean, I believe, with the coquina clutch.
Yeah, it was. He tried to fight it off a little bit, but he beat him.
Yeah, I wasn't really impressed with the finish. It really kind of made Jericho look weak, in my opinion. But it did make Samoa Joe look strong. So,
and I think that was kind of the point because.
For Rollins, right?
For Rollins and Joe, like you want to make Joe look as a strong opponent. Yeah. Whereas Jericho, I think it's kind of the writing's on the wall that he's leaving for a while. I just it's almost a given that he's going to lose to Kevin Owens.
Sure.
At Payback, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I just mentioned that I kind of like the verbal barbs that were being thrown back and forth between Rollins and Joe. Joe looked strong in the ring, but then Seth just kind of went back at him from where he was standing. Seems like Seth is okay with the kind of the swearing. He's kind of like he's trying to be the anti-hero, I guess, on Raw. Like he said, "Payback's a bitch" to him, and the crowd loved it.
Yeah.
The crowd pop. They'll always pop when a swear is thrown around, right?
You know what? What strikes me is this is another pay-per-view where they're throwing like the name of the pay-per-view in the like in the verbal.
This isn't gonna slow
fighting,
down.
Hey?
They're gonna do this all the time.
It's gonna be all the time. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna hit you with a Summer Slam.
Oh God! Imagine the past. How if they would have done it? They would have had the Royal Rumble, and then they would have had, well, just Just you wait. WrestleMania is right around the corner. Until then, there's no way out.
and you're not gonna survive past WrestleMania, because after WrestleMania, the backlash is gonna be intense.
Oh God! The 6-man Hell in a Cell. It's gonna be pure Armageddon.
The 6-pack challenge.
It's not what it was called.
Okay.
So Strowman backstage segment number 1. You get anything on this, James?
Yeah, I did. Basically, I got here that he basically killed R-Truth and Goldust.
Sure did. He also, I guess, in that same segment, Gallows and Anderson were just kind of walking down the aisle, and they passed the Drifter playing his guitar.
I actually missed that part.
They did, yeah. It was what it was.
Oh yeah.
And the referee asks Strowman to leave, and Strowman stands up and says in a pouty voice, in my opinion, that I'll leave when I want to, unless you have a problem with that.
Oh wow! Hey.
It's like, did that need to happen?
Yeah.
Gallows and Anderson versus Enzo and Cass.
Just before the match, it was an impromptu match, we'll call it. One thing that I thought was funny is Gallows and Anderson are out there talking trash, and Anderson says Braun Strowman just gave R-Truth and Goldust the United Airlines treatment.
Wow.
Right in the ring.
Oh my God.
And then out comes Cass and Enzo. Corey Graves referred to him as a nerd.
Yeah, that was funny.
He loves Enzo. Zoe called them sweet boys. Referred to the club as sweet boys.
Sweet boys.
Yeah. They talked about the Revival being injured.
Yeah, out for 2 months.
I think Dash Wilder has a broken jaw.
So much for them.
Which kind of sucks. The timing wasn't great, but they just did the superstar shakeup, and
yep.
Their feud with the New Day really wouldn't be progressing anyways, obviously because New Day left.
Oh yeah, good point.
So I don't think it really hurts them too much. I just hope that the fans just remember them, because they were really only there for 2 weeks.
Right.
Yep.
And but I did note that I was not interested in this match whatsoever. The tag team division, besides the Hardys, has grown extremely weak, lame.
It really has.
Repetitive.
Yeah, it was really strange. Anderson beat Enzo with some weird move.
Don't even know who won.
At the end of it. Well, yeah, Gallows and Anderson won it.
Okay.
Hit some weird move that the announcers
were. Oh, I do remember.
Yeah, he basically just kind of like dropped.
That
him
was
on the
Anderson
top rope
that did that.
It was Anderson, yeah.
Yeah, I do remember him.
He dropped him on the top rope, and they were saying like, "Oh, I've never seen that move before." It was it was nothing special.
He had him on his shoulder, and it looked like he was going to plant him on the top turnbuckle,
Mm-hmm.
but instead he threw him.
Yeah.
And his legs hit the 2 corner ropes.
Yeah.
And he flipped.
Yeah.
And didn't look very painful, but he beat him with that.
Yeah, yeah, and then he runs out. And then Anderson won and ran out like he always does.
Yeah,
like everybody does. Everyone runs out.
Well, he's the smaller guy, right?
Yeah, he's true. Yeah,
whereas Gallows is the big tough guy.
Yeah.
All right. That leads on to the Miz and Maurice with Dean Ambrose segment.
Yep.
Believe this. I'm going to say this. I actually liked this segment.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe that?
Anything involving the Miz and Ambrose, 2 of your favorites.
Oh, God. I'm actually a little higher on Miz now, and I'm lower on Ambrose. God, I never thought I'd say that a year ago. But I thought that both Miz and Ambrose did a good job. Ambrose doing the OH, Ohio chants, as both wrestlers are from Ohio. Kind of reminded me of the UFC with, brain fart, who's the current heavyweight champ?
Milchik.
Yeah, he's from Ohio.
That's
he
right.
does that OH.
He does, yeah.
OH.
That's right. Yeah.
Kind of cool. So yeah, he did that. I don't know. I don't know if he's trying to pull it from that. It is a thing, right?
I think it is a thing in Ohio. Everyone just does it, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was funny after he did that. Ambrose says to Maurice, "You wouldn't understand. You're Canadian."
That's funny. I agree. Us being Canadians, of course.
Yes.
And Miz defended the way he acts and dresses as he respects the role of a WWE superstar. Found that was an interesting blow to Dean already. I loved how the Miz. I loved how the Miz called out Ambrose for wasting his time with the championship, stating he had the belt for 6 months, never made it to WrestleMania, and was nothing more than a blip on the card. Miz called him lazy and complacent. That's when Ambrose essentially snapped. He snapped when Miz called him a joke.
Yeah, he called him a joke, and he says he's made the Intercontinental title a joke.
Yeah. Actually, Ambrose did a good job. It looked kind of shoot that he kind of flipped when he said, you know how there's always that one insult that someone will snap on?
For sure.
It's when he called him a joke.
That's right.
Ambrose looked at him with these eyes and freaked.
And he was intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
I thought it was a good segment overall.
I know.
I was...
I know.
What?
I was like, what am I? I'm liking this?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Strowman, backstage segment, numero 2.
Yep.
Number 2.
Yep.
So he's kind of uncomfortably dragging Callisto down the hall, kind of bullyish looking, stating he's leaving. I'm leaving, but I'm taking Callisto with me for no reason. And then he says Roman Reigns is garbage, and Callisto is now too. And he throws Callisto in the trash can.
Yeah.
Yeesh. Big Show out of nowhere charged Strowman, sending him crashing into a steel door, falling to the ground. Segment was well done, in my opinion. Big Show, his hit seemed fairly legit.
Yeah.
So did Strowman's reaction.
Yeah. And then the show basically said, "Why don't you pick on someone your own size?" Right?
Came out of nowhere, that hit.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I liked it.
A little out of nowhere.
A little out of nowhere.
A little Randy Orton-esque, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Probably better than Randy Orton.
Well, let's not go that far. What was next up?
We had Jack Gallagher versus T.J. Perkins. Gallagher, they're saying he's only 167 pounds.
Woo.
Pretty guy.
They're pretty big on Gallagher now, it seems.
It could be, yeah.
And Perkins is a heel.
I love that they called, then they announced a special appearance by Neville.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And so Neville came down to watch the match. Corey Graves says, Neville may be the champion forever.
That's awesome.
Awesome,
Let's hope so. Aries was there, too.
Aries comes out to watch the match, and he's on a mic, and he's like, I'm coming out to make an even specialer appearance.
So funny. Eating his banana.
He was, too.
Yeah, he hits his gimmick.
Yeah, that was a good little match.
They were sitting on computer chairs.
They were just little chairs. Yeah.
You see how he sat beside Neville, and Neville looks at him with this face and moves the chair.
He was just disgusted. Like, what are you doing?
He offered a piece of his banana to him.
Too. It was that was some good kind of side to that match.
Well, that was more interesting than the match itself.
The match wasn't too bad. It was Jack had quite a bit of offense on there. He did some stretching, like he was doing all this stretching to Perkins at one point.
Sure.
Kind of like Stu Hart used to probably do in the dungeon.
Lot of stretching.
Yeah, you gotta stretch these guys.
TJ Perkins' heel is almost no different than when he was face. He's got to work on this. Man, he's the same guy. He's not really doing too much heel tactics.
Not in the match, no.
No.
Like, aside from the beating him up last week.
Yeah, to Aries, right?
To Aries.
Yeah, I saw that.
When he turned heel, really, this match had no real heel tactics at all.
Why is he dancing when he comes out? He does that,
right.
the dab or whatever.
Yeah, he still does it, yeah.
That's a face thing, man. Stop doing that.
Gallagher did the dab, actually.
You know what? I missed that. I was watching it live, and I don't know what I was doing. I turned my head or something. I missed it. I'm like, oh. It was probably pretty funny, eh?
It was pretty funny, actually. He's standing in the middle of the ring, and you've got this whiter than white guy, British guy doing the dab right in the middle.
God.
It was pretty funny, actually.
So, what was it? Gallagher was distracted with Aries and Neville outside the ring, bickering amongst each other. Perkins kicked the middle rope into Gallagher's face. I'm seeing a lot of that lately.
Yeah.
Followed by a detonation kick for the win.
So I guess that would probably be like the heel tactic. Like,
he
was distracted, and then he took advantage of that distraction, right? So,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Next segment was Apollo Crews and Titus. I completely skipped this part.
That was absolutely atrocious. Essentially, Titus O'Neil was trying to convince Apollo Crews to join the Titus brand. It was so bad, so lame. It was really bad.
Okay, so I didn't miss much.
It was awkward. I don't know what they're doing with Titus. Sorry, dude, you're going nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, you are bottom of the barrel in this company.
One thing just before that, actually, is before that stuff, they announced Jeff Hardy versus Cesaro tonight.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. And then and then the Hardys were back in the back there with Tom Phillips, Mike Rome.
Yeah. I know.
Well,
I got confused there for a moment. Sometimes I don't state the segments regarding the guys that are going to be wrestling.
oh, okay.
Remember how much Tyler hated that?
Yeah. Well, no, the only reason I kind of make reference to it is because it's obviously not Tom Phillips. I think it's pretty funny.
Oh, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Jericho has just been on that over and over.
Always. Yeah. So this was pretty good. Actually, Matt Hardy seems to have dropped the broken accent for the most part. But if you watch this interview, there's a couple little bits there where he brought it back in.
His accent still sounds weird, though. That's not the Matt Hardy accent. He's North Carolina, and he's got kind of a southern accent, but he sounded different. I don't know if he's trying to kind of do something.
Yeah, it sounded like he was kind of combining them, like because the broken accent is kind of like this weird, almost like a southern mixed with British.
Mixed with British.
It's almost what it is, right? And there were a couple times where he did bring that out.
Yeah.
In the interview, yeah,
Okay.
in the backstage there. So I was like,
it'd be very easy to bring it back. Just make him broken. Something has to trigger it, right? I think that's what happened in TNA.
Yeah.
But it'd be very easy to bring it back.
Yeah, totally.
So the next match was the Sasha, Mickie James, Nia, and Alexa Bliss Fatal 4-Way. So the crowd cheered their hometown girl, Alexa Bliss. I did note that I'm starting to like her entrance music. Just something between the kind of creepy bubblegumish sound and how the music switches over. Good portion of this match was taken up by commercials, I did note. A huge portion, which was kind of insulting in a way. Bayley stupidly watched in the back on the television, acting all nervous with her belt on her shoulder, like as you love it, belt on the shoulder. And the match itself, it was fairly entertaining. All four women seemed to get some time to put their own stuff in. Sasha got a guillotine in. Mickie got an armbar on Nia Jax. Nia, as usual, looked dominating. And Alexa Bliss actually had some comic relief when she bailed on the jump from the top rope. I think that was to Nia Jax.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, it was actually kind of funny.
I liked that a lot.
I'm just going to get off here now.
Yeah.
Mickie James, honestly, no reaction from the crowd whatsoever.
I wrote that too. Nobody just seems like nobody cared when she came out.
Nope.
You know, she went to go hit a couple moves and she kind of like puts her finger in the air, almost like Trish Stratus used to do when she was gonna do like the move. Not a peep.
You know what it is, eh? Crowd doesn't remember her.
No, they don't.
That's what's going on here. It was a certain era. You and I were obviously watching.
Yeah.
But these kids in the crowd, certain age, and teenagers in the crowd, they don't remember her, so they don't care.
Yeah.
They haven't built her gimmick enough. She was the stalker with Trish. If you didn't see that, then you won't appreciate what she does.
No, and the thing about it too is that they had her on Smackdown. She really wasn't back with the company for all that long.
Right.
She was a heel with Alexa Bliss there.
Yep.
They turned her, tried to turn her into a face right away. Like within like 3 months.
So she's face now, eh?
She's supposed to be face again now.
It's messy.
So not only is there the part where they don't really remember her, like you mentioned, but also she's gone back and forth twice already.
Yeah, it's weird.
So it's just
it's like they just brought her in because they were short on women and they knew that she could work.
Pretty much, yeah. I've got a couple of notes here about some cool moves I saw here.
Sure.
Actually, Nia on Mickie James did the $1 Million Dream.
Oh.
Or the Cobra Clutch, as they called it.
Okay.
Which I thought was kind of cool. She also, that was on Mickie James. She also got Sasha Banks with a bear hug. Big bear hug.
Yeah.
It was like just some old school throwback moves. I liked it a lot. Yeah, and then basically, Nia ended up landing the Samoa drop on Sasha Banks.
Yep.
Bliss comes in, kicks Nia out, and steals the pin on Sasha.
Amazing.
And the crowd obviously cheered because she's in her hometown for one.
But it was a nice heel move.
It was a great heel move. I thought it was well done.
It wasn't a face doing it. It was a heel doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Ah. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Alexa Bliss, so I'm glad to see
Yeah,
her going
I'm getting
right to the
interested in her
top.
too.
Going to see her right to the top of the women's division on Raw.
I like this. The women's division is present now, and you get interested in certain. We like Charlotte, we like Bliss. I like Nia. I don't know where you are with the Nia stuff. I like Naomi's entrance and her energy and whatnot. I've got some favorites, and I really like that because there was a certain era where there was P-break matches and stuff, and that's too bad. So it's gotten a lot better.
It's gained a lot of momentum. I mean, I'd say right now I really like Alexa Bliss.
Sure.
I really like Charlotte. I'm a pretty big fan of Becky Lynch. Still like Becky Lynch.
Yeah, I'm a little questionable about her.
Yeah, but no. Yeah, women's wrestling is thriving right now. I like it.
Sasha Banks is she's a good wrestler, but as the character has kind of grown old, we're really not sure about that.
No, I'm really not a fan of her character. One thing I noticed that did you notice she had a gigantic perm this week? She came out and her hair was like super wide.
I'm noticing she's a lot more she's really acting a lot as she comes out. Do you notice, like, with her hand gestures and whatnot to the crowd? I think she's preparing for some sort of heel thing.
Yeah,
she looks very cocky.
Right.
Very cocky.
You're right. She is becoming a little more cocky.
Old
for
school,
sure.
like when she was the boss. Right.
Yeah.
Although she's still a boss, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, next up was the Big Show interview with Charlie. He says that he's in the best shape of his life, and Strowman is going to get a taste of his own medicine. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, challenged them out to a match there, and there you go. Next was Kurt Hawkins versus Finn Balor.
Well, this was a great match.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, basically, Kurt Hawkins claims to be a star factory because anyone who faces him gets to the main event. Okay. Used Big Show being in the main event this week as an example. Hawkins got squashed by Balor in approximately 1 minute.
Yeah.
Quick note. I have said in the past I'm not a Finn Balor fan, and I'm still not. I've been reading online. A lot of people are starting to agree with me that Finn Balor is very overrated. He's got no charisma in the ring. I don't know if you noticed that. He's fairly boring. He's small, and he appears to be kind of weak. I don't know. Maybe that's a topic for another conversation, but I'm not really feeling Finn Balor at all. Actually, he looks very boring, man. Like, there's other guys I'm not huge fans of, but I could see positives. Like, I'm not a big Samoa Joe fan, but I could see why people like Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
He's a beast. He can wrestle.
Right.
Look at him go. I don't see why people like Finn Balor.
Yeah.
I used to say that about what was my classic having a brain fart here. Brie Bella's man.
Oh, Daniel Bryan.
Daniel Bryan, of course. Daniel Bryan, for a long time, you guys were always bugging me. How could you not be a Daniel Bryan fan? And I wasn't. But you compare Daniel Bryan to Finn Balor? Oh, come on. Daniel Bryan's way better than Finn Balor.
Well, Daniel Bryan, he's got a lot of charisma. He's got personality. Whereas Finn Balor is, and you know what? And it's funny. I'm down on Finn Balor. I really am. He has not impressed me at all.
Okay, you agree with me.
I'm getting to that point where he's not impressing me at all. He's boring.
He's very boring.
Just kind of walks to the ring. He pops his collar and
or even with his demon gimmick. What's the difference? He has paint on his face. Like, I don't know. He doesn't have enough charisma, man. Like, I think the crowd might start noticing that because he looks half asleep in his matches with his mouth open. I don't know. Just a quick note there. Let's see what happens with Balor as the weeks go by. Cause, he's going to have to amp that up a little bit.
I agree. Next segment here, we had Jericho in the back with Mike Rome.
This was gold, man.
Yes. Listen, Tom. Yeah.
So he blamed his loss to Joe. Due to him being sidetracked with the match he has with KO. I kind of like that he did that. At least he kind of defended his loss.
Agreed.
He called Kevin Owens a stupid idiot and that he has an ugly face. America deserves the face of Jericho. Frame it in, man.
I liked it, yeah. And he says the friends of Jericho will follow him no matter where he goes, which is kind of a comment on him.
Foreshadowing
his departure.
Sure.
Yep. Went back into the Mike Tom segment. He's like, yeah, I was confused who he was. And then he was about to do that, what happens to segment. But then he was interrupted by
the Drifter.
Yeah.
Drifter walks past in the background playing a tune on his guitar. And, like you said, Jericho was just going to say, you know what happens when? And the Drifter just walks by gingerly playing his guitar. And it was hilarious because you were just waiting for Jericho. What is Jericho going to say, right? And by the time Drifter was gone, Jericho, you know what happens? Strange, straggling strummer? You know what happens, weird, wandering wayfarer, when you interrupt Jericho's promo?
You just made the list!
Excellent. And then he looks at Tom/Mike. Even I don't know who. It was Mike Rome, I think, right?
It was.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Tom Phillips has been gone for a while. You know what? You're off the hook. Thanks, Tom. So good. There's even an image on Google of I googled Mike Rome and Tom Phillips to see what there was. Do you remember when there was Siblings Day a couple weeks ago?
Okay.
There was a photo of Mike Rome took with Tom Phillips in the background.
Oh, man.
It was pretty funny. And I'm like, yeah, they do kind of look alike. But yeah, he's just kind of making a joke about it.
That's funny. Next was the Wyatt. I skipped it. I didn't even realize they referred to it as the sermon to the snake because I didn't watch it.
Terrible. This made no sense. It was ridiculous. They have got to stop this. We should have mentioned this at the start of our podcast, but it was so bad. It was obviously pre-recorded. Mm-hmm. Garbage. Flaming garbage.
Yeah.
Flaming garbage. Next up, Victoria Fox, Dana, and Emma segment backstage.
Alicia Fox.
What? What did I say? Did I say Dana Fox?
You said Victoria Fox.
You heard it first, folks. Victoria Fox.
Eric, he just wants Victoria back in WWE so bad.
Oh my God, Victoria Fox.
Yeah.
Alicia Fox. Thank you. Emma essentially frames Dana, making Alicia Fox hate her. I noted Dana is an absolutely atrocious actor. When she goes, "That is such a lie."
This was hard to watch.
It was really hard to watch. It was like high school drama, man.
Oh.
Thank you, Victoria Fox. Next up was the Jeff Hardy and Cesaro match.
Yeah, and this was I thought it was a pretty good match. It kept calling it a dream match.
Yeah, I didn't agree with that.
I didn't quite agree with that either. No. You had two very different styled wrestlers, which was evident throughout the match. For me, I thought they meshed well. It was good. One thing I noted was they had made reference to the fact that Jeff Hardy, doesn't look that big out there, but he's pretty physically imposing.
Yeah, man. He's apparently 6'1", 225 pounds.
Yeah, he's 6'1", 225. Yeah,
that's crazy.
But I guess in the land of the giants, he doesn't look that big. Cesaro's is actually billed at 6'5", 232.
Okay.
So not that much bigger weight wise.
I didn't know Cesaro was that tall. Cool.
But yeah, 6'5" they're calling him. So, anyways, yeah, it was he's a decent sized guy. He's a Shawn Michaels ish.
Yeah,
it
was a good match. I didn't call it spectacular by any means.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't huge, but it was decent for sure. I thought they meshed, like I said.
There were some botches. Cesaro not landing on the ropes correctly with his crotch as he was supposed to. Cesaro stayed standing during the twist of fate, which was weird. Jeff somewhat missed Cesaro with the corkscrew off the top rope. So it happens, It was refreshing to see these guys in a one-on-one match as opposed to being forced to tag team, as we've seen, with Sheamus and Matt. And I don't know. Essentially, Jeff beat Cesaro with the Swanton Bomb, and the teams once again shook hands after the match to remind the fans that both of these guys are baby faces.
Mm-hmm. All right. So yeah, there was kind of a hesitant handshake.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good ending.
Yep.
So yeah, Heath Slater and Rhino were in the back there. Slater basically killed a minute breaking. He's bragging about how last year he wasn't even on and he wasn't even drafted, and now he's on Raw, baby.
I got kids to feed.
Then Rhino's eating for whatever reason. He's just chowing down.
Cheese and crackers galore.
But then what's his face there? Strowman comes down and Rhino throws his cheese and crackers in the air.
Completely cowers in the corner.
Totally.
This is Rhino, the beast that we knew in the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah.
Cowering in fear from Braun Strowman.
But I guess that just shows that Braun Strowman is so imposing that even a guy like Rhino fears him.
Well, after hearing that Rhino was legitimately crying back in the day when they used to go in northern Manitoba on those death tours, the van sunk in the ice and water was coming up to the wheels, and apparently they've said this numerous times, Rhino ran with tears down his face crying. I guess they don't need to call him tough anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rhino. Just had to mention that.
All right, and what does that bring us to? The main event of the evening?
Big Show versus Braun Strowman. This match was awesome.
This was better than their match a month and a half ago, which was a great match.
This match was awesome. It was really, really good. I did note no ring fortification was mentioned or required for this slobber knocker.
I wonder why.
Gee. Let's see what happens. Big Show did a flying drop kick, and he managed to get a choke slam on the Strowman. Strowman managed to do a few other things. He did a flying drop kick, another kick up, or a nip up, however you want to call it.
Kip up, they call it,
yeah. Kip up, yeah. Some arm drags, which he had done to Big Show in their previous match, and he managed to get a suplex on the Big Show.
Also, one thing I noted too is Big Show did a baseball slide.
Oh yeah.
On Braun Strowman to the outside, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Show missed the knockout punch, and he was in turn power slammed by Braun for the 2 count. Strowman jumped off the second rope. Big Show connected with the KO punch. Strowman suplexed Big Show off the top ropes, and the ring blew up, baby.
Man.
Like, it was way better looking than the last time it occurred with Big Show and Lesnar.
Yeah. Oh, it looked great.
Perfectly timed. The stairs flipped upside down in the air, and that ref man, did he fly? Did you see it? It looked legitimate. I don't think the ref even jumped. He got shot in the air. It probably was one of the devices under the ring. Was probably under his feet. That guy got like 2 feet of air, and he flew outside the ring.
Michael Cole made reference to it. He's like, and the ref went flying.
He lit it.
Flying.
Holy cow.
They sold the heck out of that too, those announcers. Give them credit.
Crowd loved it too.
The crowd loved it.
I loved it. Like, my wife had walked in near the end, and I'm like, oh, the match is almost over. And then this happened. It was good. I'm glad they don't do this too much. Otherwise, it would get very boring.
Oh, yeah. And I don't see them doing it again for a very long time, if ever. But it made sense.
Yeah, man.
And it was cool.
I like this match. It seems like it's always going to be fun going forward when these two meet. I never thought I'd say that, right? Big Show's in shape now. I don't know. It's going to be fun. Strowman's looking good. They're similar styles. I don't know. What's your thoughts on these two?
I agree. No, it's great. They're exciting. Exactly. Anytime these two are in the ring together now or are interacting, you kind of think, what's going to happen? Are they going to fight? Yeah, it's good.
This would have been a great WrestleMania match again.
It's just too bad they kind of squandered it. But
would you believe I'd be saying that I'd like to see them again in the future? Because I would.
I was at a point where I didn't ever want to see the Big Show again, to be perfectly honest.
I agree.
And now...
He doesn't work in every match,
No,
Big Show.
He doesn't, right?
But this one he does.
He does.
He kicks it up a notch when he fights Strowman.
Yeah.
I like it.
And he's in great shape, obviously, so... No, it was great. Great segment. Great segment. Great match.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It was nice to end the night with that wicked match.
Yeah.
So, that caps off Raw. That leads us into the Raw S&M. For myself, my favorite match was obviously Braun Strowman versus Big Show. How about you?
I have to agree.
Oh, hands down.
It was just there's no other match that came close.
Oh yeah, like before I saw that match, I'd kind of penciled down a couple others. I got rid of those ones quickly and replaced it with this one. In my opinion, worst match was Gallows and Anderson versus Enzo and Cass.
I guess since I didn't watch it, I can't really put it on the list, but I will. I'm going to say Kurt Hawkins and Finn Balor was probably worse.
Well, what do you know? I missed that one.
That was a squash.
That's pretty bad too.
I would say, like, because I watched the Anderson Gallows, and it wasn't, it wasn't.
It's just so boring.
It wasn't anything special. Like,
well, that's why I'm marking it down, though.
It wasn't anything you hadn't really seen before, but I would have to say that it ranks higher than Hawkins and Balor.
Yeah, I missed that. Like I saw the match, but I missed. See, when I'm ranking these, I basically go through my notes, all of the matches I'd seen, and because that essentially that Finn Balor match was so short, I missed it. But I agree, that would be the worst.
Yeah.
Best segment, I've got two. I'm gonna say Miz and Maurice and Ambrose. That was a very good one. And I'm gonna say Jericho and Mike Rome was very entertaining as well.
They were definitely both entertaining. I would say probably Miz and Ambrose was better.
There's more work in it.
There's more work.
Sure.
It really helped to progress their feud.
That was my number
going
one
right now. So I would say number one for sure.
Yep.
And worst segment. What do you think?
I've got three. Apollo Crews and Titus was absolute garbage. Bray Wyatt's sermon to the Snake segment, absolute garbage. And Alicia Fox, Dana and Emma segment, garbage. They were all garbage. Pretty bad, eh?
I'm going to assume that those three were all terrible as well.
You didn't see any of them?
I didn't watch any of it.
Well, you didn't miss much. But you could tell they were garbage.
Yeah, and I'm going to...
That's too bad that we have three segments that are garbage.
Yeah, no kidding. So...
that's perfect.
Right on. So that is Raw. We had a great discussion on Roman Reigns.
Yeah, excellent discussion. Really enjoyed that one.
Lots of rumors, lots of interesting things going around right now in the world of wrestling. So I'm glad we got to chat about it. I'm glad those who are listening in this week. I'm glad you were with us.
Yep.
If you're subscribed on iTunes, first of all, if you're not subscribed on iTunes or through anything else, we would encourage you to do that.
Yeah, guys, get subscribed.
If you could give us a 5-star rating and maybe leave a comment, that would be extremely helpful as well.
Much appreciated.
Very much appreciated. And we look forward to catching you again next week. So I guess
it's been a blast.
It has been.
Okay, guys. Well, we will catch you next time.
Ciao for now.